All right, let's move on. Luis Pena taking on Khama Worthy. Good fight. Real good fight here. This one is one that I'm excited about. And something I tweeted a little bit earlier today is for the Diehard MMA podcast, generally speaking, you come for the hot takes, you stay for the love. So this is a fight that I've got a hot take on, folks. I am geared up and ready to go for this one. So Luis Pena. He's a fighter who I've simply never been sold on. He came to us from The Ultimate Fighter, and he was the hot prospect in The Ultimate Fighter. He was the guy that was supposed to win the entire show, and then he gets hurt. So he gets a UFC contract at the end of it anyway because he seemed like he was so promising, and he has been spoon-fed opponents. The UFC is dragging this kid along, Sean O'Malley style. They want him to have time to develop, but the time has come. He's been in the UFC long enough. He's fought enough low-level prospects. They're going to start giving him to people because you can't keep protecting him forever. Eventually, he's got to sink or swim. So he loses a decision to Trezano. That was back in 2018, the winner of the Ultimate Fighter season. He does beat Stephen Ocho Peterson via decision. He does beat handsome Matt Weinman. He TKOs him in the third round. Duh. A fighter that probably shouldn't be in the UFC anymore. He was given to Pena to boost his record a little bit. And then he lost a split to Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola is another legitimate prospect, and that was a very close fight, but I think Matt Frevola was the rightful winner of it. And there were spots where Frevola could have put Pena out. He's got that tall man defense. He leans back, and you can clip him. If you get caught with one of those shots leaning back, you're going good night, folks. It's just a matter of time. So he did win his last fight via decision. This guy's a grinder. He grapples, he's big, he's long, and he's facing an opponent here that's going to be able to match that size. So I'm going to pull up my numbers here. And I think you might be able to figure out where I'm going with this already. So I'm sure I'm not looking at it right this second because I'm getting my ducks in order here, but I'll bet the chat is just absolutely melting right now. Luis Pena is 6'3". He's got a 75-inch reach. Khama Worthy is 5'11", but he has a 74-inch reach. So he's only at a 1-inch reach disadvantage for being the shorter man. Luis Pena lands one takedown per 15-minute fight on average with a 29% accuracy and has a 45% takedown defense himself. For a guy who relies on the wrestling, those are actually awful stats. So you're telling me that usually if you've got a takedown success rate of something like 29%, usually you'd see 2.5 or 3 takedowns per 15-minute fight because that means you're chain wrestling. You're going for the takedowns constantly. Yes, you're missing a lot of them, but you're eventually getting them. That's what that means. But instead what this means is he doesn't go for them as often, and he doesn't land them that often. And then he gets taken down himself. He's got less than 50% takedown defense. He averages 3.32 significant strikes per minute. He absorbs 2.47. So he is outstriking his opponents, but not by enough for me. Almost 1 significant strike per minute against a spoon-fed, relatively low level of competition so far in the UFC. Usually he enjoys a very large height and reach advantage. He's not going to on Saturday. He's only got a 1-inch reach advantage. Now, Khama Worthy, this is a guy who's been knocking on the door of the UFC for a very, very long time. He's been fighting at 145 pounds his entire career, and he has been knocked out 5 times. So let me just get that out there. Dude's been knocked out 5 times. However, he's one of these guys that was struggling to make weight. He's one of these guys that thought he was getting the benefit of being the bigger man at a lower weight class, and it simply wasn't true. Let's also look at the names on his results, all right? Knockout, Kyle Nelson in the UFC. Matt Bissett, I think he's in the UFC. Billy Quarantillo in the UFC. Paul Felder in the UFC. This guy's been fighting UFC caliber content and getting knocked out by guys who are at the highest level when he was cutting too much weight. And you can't fight those types of names on the regional scene when they're on their way up at the same time as you, especially if you're draining yourself. Since he has moved up to 155 pounds, he's undefeated. In his last fight, he cashed as a plus 650 underdog. He fought a friend and former training partner in Devontae Smith and got no love from the bookies or the betting public. And he cracked the dude and put him out in the first round. He's got big power, folks. He's got fast hands. He's got a good jab. He's got a long right cross. The only issue I see with him is he moves his head straight backwards. He's got a little bit of tall man defense himself, and that's kind of how he got caught a couple times on the regional scene. But since he's moved up to 155, he's got a good chin. He takes those shots that were clipping him earlier in his career. And the thing that we see with Pena is dude has no power. He couldn't bust a grape. If he wins by knockout, it's by TKO. It's ground and pound. If he can get you on the mat, he's got those long arms. He can hit you where you can't defend yourself, and he can get the referee to step in and stop it. That's what he did to Matt Weinman. But what has he done to the rest of his UFC competition? He submitted Richie Smolin, who, if you're saying, who? Exactly. He submitted Richie Smolin, who has since dropped out of the UFC and is 2-1 over in Bellator. So he's not doing too bad, but not necessarily a UFC caliber fighter. Matt Weinman, he TKO'd, who's a fighter he should have got out of there in the first or second, but instead had to get all the way into the third to do so. And his decisions are uninspired, top control grappling matches. Khama Worthy's got some good counter wrestling, folks. Khama Worthy is a very, very live underdog here. And right now he's sitting at plus 230. I got him at plus 225 a little earlier today, I think. Let me go check my notes here. I locked up Khama Worthy at plus 220. So unfortunately, I missed that. Some money has come back the other way in a big direction here. But basically, this line is way too wide. Way too wide. Khama Worthy, I think, is going to be the first one to hand Luis Pena a knockout loss. I don't think Luis Pena is going to be able to get this fight to the ground. And I absolutely think that Khama Worthy is going to be able to clip him. He's not going to have the reach advantage that he's used to, and that's going to mess with Pena. Pena's going to be looking for that distance, and he's not going to have it. Worthy will be able to crowd him. Worthy will be able to hit him where most of his other opponents can't. And then when Pena can't get the takedown, what does he do then? He's not going to outstrike a guy like Khama Worthy on the feet. So Khama Worthy's got to give up a bad situation, let him get on his back or something like that, and then give up a choke. Pena is simply not a guy that I trust. I haven't seen anything that allows him to be this big of a favorite. I think this line should be a whole lot closer. I'm going to take the shot. I'm on Khama Worthy, folks, and I fully expect this chat section to just be melted here right now. Let's see here. Getting caught up here. Yep, passing on the fight. Pena has very good stand-up. I wouldn't particularly agree with that. And I think he's going to have problems with Khama Worthy's stand-up. There we go. Give me Khama on this one. I like that. Yep, couldn't bust a grape. All right. Yep. I like it. Worthy as an underdog. I would just caution you, a lot of people, this is the price range where people parlay. Be careful parlaying Pena. I sniff an upset. And I think this guy is UFC caliber and Khama Worthy. I think that, like I said, that weight cut really was the thing holding him back. Now that he's at the right weight class, I absolutely think he's going to dominate here. Or, dominate may be strong. I apologize. He's not going to dominate here. But I do think that he's going to do pretty damn well. I don't think he's going to find himself out of place here.